Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. Welcome to Conversations in Strict Tempo, episode number 5. This month's guest is Dominic Martin, and Dom is responsible for setting up a number of renowned bedroom record labels. One of the first to surface in the 1990s was Earm, a very eclectic sound, bouncing stuff from ambient, drone, psychedelic pop. Another imprint was Deep Distance, which was inspired by a run of Comrade Schnitzler albums. This was a creative outlet for a new generation that were inspired by the Kraftwerk sound and Cosmish, and also re-released 3 Colin Potter albums, The Scythe from 1981, The Ghost Office, and Two Nights. And then we have Polytechnic Youth, again another inspired label for Dom's love of the DIY minimal synth sound and artwork from 1978 to 1982, and then to his latest imprint, Feral Child, all of which can be looked up on Discogs. So Dom will explain and tell his story of how and why he set these labels up, talk about his voracious record collecting, which has taken him around the world, and setting up the Crouch End Record Fair in North London. And we'll also get to talk about his top 10 tracks, 6 of which are either or are krautrock sounding tracks or inspired, as well as some post-punk classics. And if you like the content that's been produced here, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. And you can sit back, listen and enjoy, and I'll catch up with you next month. See ya. And sorry, mate. Hello, Dom. How you doing, mate? You all right?
I'm good, thanks, Jace. How are you?
I'm very good, mate. It's beginning to swelter here already. You know what I mean? It's only 11
bet,
o'clock,
yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's like properly
It
burning
looks
up.
all right out here, in fairness, though. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, we always talk about the weather. Someone said it was raining, so there you go.
No, it's all right today. Touch wood.
Okay. Right. Well, day off for you then, or you sort of
Yeah,
like half
yeah.
day or whatever. Yeah?
Yeah, I get Fridays off. I can work on record stuff and get round the shops and things like that.
What, record
Do a
shops?
bit of digging. Yeah. What else is there,
Okay.
Jace? Yeah.
Well, a man can't live by records alone, Dom. He has
Shops are
to,
only
you know what I
interesting
mean?
if they sell records to me.
Okay, fair enough. So, how did you get into music then? I mean, like most people, did you sort of like go through your mum and dad's record collection, or did they have a record collection, or was it just like radio or anything like that?
No, it was as you've said. A lot of people. What happens to a lot of people? Mum and Dad's record collection, though, massive emphasis on my mum's side of this. 99% of the collection of anything worthwhile was hers. My dad was big on Rachmaninoff and a lot of the classical, and bordering into Chariots of Fire theme was the most modern thing he had. But my mum was a different ball game. We sort of grew up on her copies of constant plays of things like Transformer and Electric Ladyland and what else? I mean, the good stuff. Let It Bleed's a big one. Revolver was a big one. Just she was the one from where it all started, really. And hours spent looking and playing her singles, and fascinated by the old, the old sort of drop down. What do you call those 7-inch record players from the late 60s, early 70s with the stacking system?
Stacking system.
What do you
yeah,
call them?
yeah.
You know the type.
I,
You know the
I
type.
don't know.
Every household
I
had
did
one.
one.
Yeah.
They did, and I always often wondered why they would stand up standing slower. And I'm thinking, it's all that weight. It's like ridiculous.
Well, I guess
really.
so, and they're
But
probably
there you go.
skating all over it. I never understood why they wouldn't skate around under each other.
That's true.
It
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
but it did the job. It got me into the music, which is what it's supposed to do, I suppose.
And how old you were at this time, at that point?
How old was I?
Yeah.
Good question. I would say sort of
We
73, 74, which puts me at 7 or 8. That sort of period. And it was definitely
were you in?
74. I bought my first record,
Which one
and
was that?
Well, it's actually two in a day. It was we went out to because by this point, without boring you too much with my life story, it was just when I came down from Liverpool. My mum and dad had
You right.
split up, and we for 1 year only we were down in Ilford in Essex, where work took her, and so we went to a shop in I think it was Romford or somewhere. It's weird talking about this because it was only like 9 months of my life, and it was
Mm.
7 years Liverpool, the rest in southwest London, really, now up to North London. But in that period, it was, we went out to look for This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us, and I think Goodbye to Jane by Slade. And we couldn't get the singles, so luckily, my mum being a fan of both as well, we just went for the LPs. So I got sort of I did quite well. You come home, you go out thinking you get a single, come home with an album. So, in answer to your question, Come Home to My House by Sparks and Sladist by Slade. And
So did you?
they're, they're still
Did you?
crackers now. They're nice
They are.
records to
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
were my
Yeah.
first ones. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Did
yeah,
your mum
great.
come into your bedroom then and have them off you? And she's, oh, I'm playing
No,
this
they
now.
no that they were. Well, I didn't have my own record player. They were literally the first records I
Oh,
ever
right.
owned.
Okay.
So
Right.
they were played on her stroke our living room setup there. She had an old garage 70s deck, I seem to recall, and
Oh,
big booming
nice.
speakers, and it was amazing to blast out. Can you
Yeah.
imagine that
Well,
intro to This Town Ain't Big Enough for the Both of Us? Just sounded
brilliant.
awesome,
Yeah.
with the gunshots and all that, and the whole album was great, and to know that I owned it was quite something when you're a kid.
Yeah. I mean, that vintage hi-fi now is probably worth a few bob.
It is,
If
yeah,
you
it is,
still
yeah.
got that kind of stuff,
Yeah, no,
yeah,
very
that's
much
kind of
so.
mad, isn't it?
But who fought to
So where
keep
did
it
it?
when it packed up?
Well, yeah. I mean, like I said, there's a big market out there for it, depending on the
Yeah,
kind of sound you're looking for, I suppose. But you know,
yeah,
so so what happened then? So once you'd moved down to southwest London, you would
yeah.
have gone to primary school by that, or infant school, or whatever. Primary school.
That's right. I met a lot of people that we both know to this day.
Go on, name some names.
um, oh, Simon, Martin, Jack, Nass, Riz, all of those characters, all of whom we see
Oh,
108 years on,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, like you
and
said,
in
they're
some
characters,
cases
all
I
right.
still play football with. So it's bonkers, really.
It is quite mad how long that's been going on for.
Yeah.
Were they into music as well at that point, or was it just
You
you?
know,
Did you turn up
they'll hate me
to
for
school
saying
with
this. I
like
don't
your
think they particularly are. Well, I don't think they particularly are now, Jace, let alone back in the time. I mean, I remember Simon had a big um, sort of thing going with the two-tone skinhead look and that kind of stuff. But
mm,
and Martin dabbled, and yeah, just everyone dips their foot in a little bit, but it wasn't kind of all-encompassing, takes over your life like perhaps it was for me and you in a way. But with an honourable mention to Nash buying tons of
yes,
records as well.
definitely, yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Ness was a bit of an
yeah.
influential part for me, really, because he was the one that said, "Oh, do you like playing football?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He goes, "Oh, come up to Wimbledon Park, meet me mates." I think I must have been around about 13, 14 at that point.
Yeah,
13, I
yeah,
reckon. 13. It was all up there. And it was kind of mad seeing a big group of blokes, not just playing football, but everyone was into music. Everyone was into
yeah.
music.
But then at that
Or
point,
like
don't
listening
forget.
to music. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but don't forget at that point, that's where all your Rod and Phils and all that lot who were really into it.
Well,
They
they were
were
slightly
as
older.
well.
Yeah. They were slightly older than me. I say slightly older.
Yeah,
I think a
yeah,
little bit more older than me, really.
yeah. A couple of years.
Yeah. So where did it go from the Sparks then and Slade? What was the next sort of like listening pleasure, should we
It
say?
was all sort of. It was just. You're just breaking
Go
up
on,
a
mate.
wee bit there, Joyce.
Yeah, no,
No,
so it's your pictures as well.
yeah. Just like lots of kids at school, really. Just into your sort of your kind of. I won't say punk. I feel I was too young for punk.
Mm.
Whereas I'd been buying records before it, so there was no reason to be too young for it, but it was all just what followed, Blondie and Two Tone, and but then, as we both know, it became the outbreak of the simp stuff with your Gary Newmans and Visages, etc.
Yeah, yeah. I remember you having something that I coveted quite every time I went round to your house, and it was
What
that.
was that?
I think it was the Living Ornaments box cube thing that you had suspended from the
Oh,
ceiling,
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
and I
I
just
think
thought that
they.
was. I just thought that was the best thing I'd ever seen. I thought that's just mad. I don't know how you got hold of that, Dom. You have to tell the
I
story, my
can't
friend.
remember. I think it's probably one of the shops in Putney. So yeah,
We're not
I don't know if you
beggars.
remember the just yeah, or no, by Putney Bridge there used to be a shop called I think Music Machine, or I think it was a Beggars at some point later on, yeah, or something like that. I think they knew I was a Gary Newman nut, age 15, and they just gave it to me and stopped me pestering them, I suspect. But it was quite a nice thing back in the day. You probably get a few lunatics on those Facebook groups who'll pay a few bob for that now.
More than likely, yeah, more than likely. I mean, so what was it about Herr Newman that was a big fascination for you at that point, or was he, or was it a
Well,
fascination, or was it just
oh no, it
he
was
was?
fascinating. I loved it. I'm still when I look back now, and I find it hard to separate this now, looking back, but I really can't. Much as I still absolutely love that 78 to 79, 1980 period, I can't watch him perform those songs. There's something about the posturing and the sort of
Mm,
which I understood because especially if you read the stuff he said about that period, he felt so awkward performing as a 21-year-old kid, and with these breaks in tracks like the last like 3 out of 4 minutes of Cars being this instrumental thing, and what the hell do I do while the band are playing? And so I understood his awkwardness, but I can't watch him perform those tracks now. So to answer your question, it's not so much how he looked or anything like that. I still, to this day, I just purely love the synth sound. And whether it's sat here now, 2025, or in '79, those polymoogs and the drones and stuff on the Pleasure Principle were
mm.
just unbelievable. And I just thought it was groundbreaking, and no one had really heard that sort of stuff. People of my own age. Some will remember Eno era Roxy and stuff like that, of course, and whatever. But there was no one truly like that, and he just carried on the baton, as we later discovered, from Bowie, really, of course,
Yeah,
to some
yeah.
degree.
I mean, it's tough because some people are just super fans, and it doesn't
I
matter
know,
what they
I
release,
know.
and they will just love everything. And me, I mean, I thought, I despite the look, despite the look, I thought Berserker was the last thing that he'd done that was of any interest, and because that was all, well, not all, but vast majority of like electronics, which appealed to me. Before that, I Assassin, but anything like Warriors or
Oh
Dance
God,
doesn't really grab me at all. Oh God,
no, me
yeah, I know.
neither. No.
It was. I mean, I listened to I Assassin, and it's just some really good stuff on it. But the rest of it from then on in, I just couldn't get my head around. I mean,
Yeah,
now it's
I
almost like he's taken these brilliant groundbreaking tracks, and for me, they're just nothing more than cathedral gothic rock with a bit of keyboard, and it's
yeah.
just like, no, and there's been no real progression at all for me.
No, but then
Whereas I
fast
look at
forward
John
to now,
Fox,
he's yeah, of course. But fast
I mean,
forward to now, and he knows he's onto a good thing, so why change that much? But in fairness to him, latter day stuff, he's always trying to progress, never wants to make two albums the same. So you kind of got to respect anyone who says that, really.
yeah, but I thought personally with the electronic stuff, I thought he might have progressed into a more electronic arena, shall we say? Not
Yeah,
particularly
yeah,
techno, but just like electronic. And you look at the bands that are about today, and they're just making some cracking stuff
of course, yeah.
that say that they were influenced by Gary Newman. You know, and you think, well, it
Yeah,
sounds nothing like Gary. This is what Gary Newman should sound like now, sort of thing. It's just really weird. It's like, but then he turns
yeah,
around and says, well, I've always been a punk sort of thing. So, you know, he likes his
yeah.
guitars. So I suppose you
For
can't
me, it's sort of
sort of like
for me
knock him.
for me it's a definitive period where he became uninteresting, which was sadly when Paul Gardner passed away and left the
Mm,
band. And
yeah.
God bless Pino Palladino as an incredible bass player, but the whole music took on a funky feel then that really wasn't me. I was into the synths. I loved the electronic sounds, and it stopped being interesting for me in sort of late 80, really, 81. And he
Yeah.
discovered funk, and from that point on, I just lost interest, really. But by that point though, Jace, you've that lineage where the old the lifelong pattern. Get into someone's music. Who are they into? And you do that
Mm,
sort of lineage back, and sure you discover
yeah.
Roxy Music, but once you discover Kraftwerk at any point, that's you're off in a tangent from there, and then follows Neu and Harmonia and all the beautiful stuff that I just love to this day, and so Gary Newman was a start point for that, really. So
I suppose
he
so,
was the
yeah.
catalyst
Yeah.
for
Well,
electronic
yeah.
stuff for me, really. And early Human League and all, the Normal and all the classics of the Sheffield, early Cabs, all of that kind of stuff. Gary Newman was just like the sort of the pin-up poster boy, the chart topper out of that scene, But there was tons else behind him.
Yeah. I mean, you being a collector as well, did you have like a fascination for collecting, I don't know, coloured vinyls, different picture sleeves from around the world, all that stuff?
So that's been the case age 14 as it is here now, age 58. So yeah,
I know
there's
that,
been no
Dom.
change.
You
There's
know
very
that.
little regret, very little progression really, and there's no change. Yeah, but that was.
So,
Do you know where? Do you know when I think about it, Jace? You know what sort of planted that seed were our Saturdays up in Portobello, and especially Plastic Passion, as was Minus Zero
mm,
and Standout Records, the two bills, and those beautiful
yeah.
back walls full of, I don't know, worldwide MC5 singles, French Elevators EP, Beatles, Apple acetates. My jaw would drop, and a Stooges singles. I thought I'll own those one day, and thankfully, touch wood, I did. But it was going just to see what was out there, because you got to remember it's obviously a bit of a cliche, but this was pre-internet days where you just didn't know this stuff existed, and yet the bills would have links worldwide, and they'd turn over these amazing records.
Yeah, I must admit. I mean, I don't think there's anything really quite. I mean, once you know a record sleeve, and then you see a different version, and it's completely different. I mean, completely different. You just go,
Yeah, yeah,
bloody hell, that's just amazing. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I still got stuff like the Japanese Visual singles and stuff like that. I still got them because I just
yeah,
think they're
yeah,
just corkers. I just like,
yeah. They are. They're lovely. Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It just stopped for me. I thought, how many versions of a single can you have?
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
for
it's
me,
very easy to go too far. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, for me, it's just I just want to play. I just want to play the things. You know what I mean? It'd be
of
nice to
course,
have
of course.
somewhere where you can sort of like display them or something and what have you. But I don't know. There seems to be very little room for that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
displaying it all. But yeah, it's
yeah.
so what did you do then? I mean, was you at school and you was thinking, I want a job within the entertainment music business, or did you just,
No,
or was
not
it
at
just
all. Not
literally
at
just
all.
a hobby? Or was it just a hobby
No,
then, and just
purely a
something that you
hobby.
right?
Yeah, purely a hobby, and one that I didn't think I'd ever sort of, grab that much money to be able to afford the Beatles acetates and Elevators French EP and things that I've just talked about. So, just a hobby that kind of took over really. And then, I'm just trying to think of those missing years where I was only buying records, but just didn't think ever I'd take it as far as running labels. And that was like any kid. It only just dawned on me that in '96 or whatever, Jack and I, who that thought, let's take it a step further and our record buying into channel it a different way, and release a couple of things. And you know, we started a label called Enraptured, which we did it together for about, I don't know, the first 9 releases, maybe 1 year. It's good with some great people, Windy and Carl. We did a Will Sargent single, and Roy Montgomery, who's an amazing New Zealand guitarist, of course, and the Silver Apples tribute, which starts off a program on its own here, Jace. That tons started off the back of that. And but then and then after a while, I
did you do any kind of
ran my old Earworm label.
And so, what on the first label you did with Jack? Then was there did you do any like a lot of people start with bootlegs or material or anything like that at all?
The pre-Enraptured.
Yeah, so if you don't want to talk about it.
No, I'm sort of a bit long in the tooth now, and they're all so long ago that I've my little mask of shyness about it has dropped. So I've mentioned it recently somewhere else with a Spaceman 3 interview thing recently. That no, I did 2 Spaceman singles, and then I did an REM single, but massive emphasis on we had the band's permission each time. Like Peter Buck okayed the REM one, and Pete Kember Sonic Boom okayed the 2 Spacemen ones. So it wasn't entirely naughty. We had some permission. So no, we tried to do it kind of in a legit way, so to speak. Then Enraptured started with the fuller, proper releases as such.
So what did you do? Did you come to a point where you thought, right, I just want to do something on my own, or was it a mutual thing, going your separate ways? Enraptured?
No, I think, I did want to go alone. It's just purely a musical taste thing, really, Joyce. It's different artwork ideas. Yes, exactly. Yeah, artwork ideas. We weren't sort of totally in stereo, should we say, in tandem on that, and choice of bands to a degree. But no, I think it came as a bit of a blow to Jack, because I did feel I let him down a wee bit, and but then he carried on. He's still going fine to this day. But with Enraptured, I think, albeit sort of quite rarely releasing anything, but he's still running it. But no, and I just wanted to take it a little bit further, be more productive with it. Had a good relationship with Cargo, the distributor, and a ton of bands lined up for some really exciting records. So I went my way, he went his. Totally friendly still. And
yeah, of course, yeah. And what was the next label then after Enraptured?
That was called Earworm. That ran for a while,
Earworm.
And
that's right.
and I think we did about 150 releases or something. People don't understand that, even though it was me who did it, my memory's so lousy. They'll tell me, Dominic released 135 releases. 89 of those were singles, and it's just a blur to me, a lot of it. Obviously, I remember all the bands and the great records and the standout ones, which I still love to this day. But I'd be lying if I knew. Right, Earworm 64 was this. Earworm 111 was that. I can't remember all that. That's where Discogs comes to my help.
I was just about to say, if you just hold on a second, I'll get Discogs up and have a look and be able to tell you. But don't worry about that. We won't be doing
that. No, you'll find out actually wrong and far off the mark I am. And it wasn't 150 at all. It was nearer 130 or something.
10. Right.
Yeah. Nearer.
Did you design all the covers and artwork and
lots of them? Well? Yeah. I mean, obviously for any release, and this is true as of sat here now today with Feral Child, but you'd always offer the band, first shot, it is their record, and they'll know how they want it to look. But I'd be lying if I didn't rub my hands together and say, well, we like your sleeves. You want to do us one for that? And that gives me free rein to go ahead. And I love that. Still love doing that.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if I cast my mind back to your secondary school days, I think you were quite artistic anyway, weren't you?
Yeah.
drawing
Yeah,
and
no,
stuff
it's
like that.
yeah, and it's a lineage I take down from my mum. She was at Liverpool School of Art for donkey's years, and when she passed away, I've got loads of her work here. And no, we were both we sort of come from quite an artistic family, really, and yeah, loads of mates now are graphic designers and stuff. So yeah, there's a nice little sort of family of people locally who can design sleeves, and yeah, it's an aspect of it I really love, to be honest.
Mm. And so, what was the change from Earworm to the next label? I mean, what prompted that change?
That
Was it just like you thought, you know?
this is where I do sort of I should button it a wee bit, which is the MCPS happened. Those are
Ah,
tiny
right, okay.
boosters that anyone who runs labels to a very small level in this country will know all about. Basically, for a generation they've hated labels like mine who took their cue from that sort of punk ethos, if you like, of paying bands in copies of their record, which they much prefer because they'll take them out as merch for tours. They'll nowadays sell them online, and they'll get far more money
Mm.
doing that than they would a percentage 3 months down the line from the MCPS. So they were, they'd chase you till kingdom come, and when your bills had run into thousands. And again, I should probably shut up, but they're not the most beloved company in the world out there now for me.
Right.
I just can't stand
Okay.
them. And just go and chase your Sonys and Warners with the Coldplays and Taylor Swifts of the world, not some little label doing it out of his bedroom, doing 4 17-year-olds debut 7-inch for 100 copies.
Yeah, yeah, mate, you're right. Yeah, yeah. I think it is different now. I think, isn't it? Because, like you said, you got online. I mean, you got stuff like Bandcamp, and like you said,
Of
you can
course, yeah,
release
yeah,
stuff through your own website. You can do it, like you said, at a gig
absolutely,
or a festival or
yeah,
whatever. So, it's
yeah. Bands want
yeah.
stock to sell, not some sort of payment 4 months down the line. They want stock to sell and get it
Mm.
out there, and they want their own record in their hands.
Yeah, like I said to you earlier, I run into copyright problems, and some of the tracks I'm thinking, really? I mean, some of it I'll understand because there was a Pink Floyd track and there was a Genesis track selected by another guest, but every single track that they had selected, that had come back with copyright problems, and I'm thinking, really? I
Yeah,
mean, this is just a DIY thing.
yeah,
I'm not expecting. I'm not interested in the monetary side of things, or if it was to ever become that. And it's like it's not as if these tracks have not been heard before. I know everyone vilifies Spotify because the money is not given back to the owners of the song and all the
artists,
rest of it.
yeah,
Artists,
yeah,
yeah, sorry, artists, yeah. And I understand that, but there's I don't understand how people can upload a tune and not get any strikes and not get any, and it's like, and they say, oh, I don't own this material, blah blah blah, because I got a hit. Well, I didn't get a hit, but it said that your video won't be shown in certain territories. And I thought, right, okay, I have to rethink this. So I'm going to have to use like official links that are uploaded to YouTube from the record companies. And you just think, what I mean? It just makes things, I don't know, it's just not how I wanted to do it. But the
yeah,
only way to get
yeah,
around that is to have the track playing in the background or play 60 seconds, pause it, and then say, Dom, what is it about this particular tune that you like? And you'll go, oh, I love the synth break, or I love the bass line, or I just like the way the lyrics come together. That's the only way you can really do it. And
yeah,
fucking hell,
yeah,
rules are as John Lydon said, rules are for fools.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah.
but but yeah,
Don't you see
so
again
yeah,
how
so
that's someone trying to stop you in, just doing something on such a small DIY level? There's
it's
always
such a
someone somewhere, isn't there?
it's so microscopic, Dom. I mean, I'd be lucky if anyone paid any attention. If someone said if I had 10 hits on the video, I'd be going, double figures, excellent. I mean, that's it. That'd do me.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah,
But yeah,
Yeah.
so with them chasing you, what was your next move then?
To quickly dissolve one label and start another, in a
Right.
nutshell.
Okay.
Basically, it was a case of have great, very supportive mail order list. We'll travel.
Right.
You know, it's and a lot of those guys are still with me. There's it's a couple of thousand strong, and it's they've come sort of they've just as I've ended one thing and started another. They're in on the next part of it all. So yeah, it was really just a way of I don't know. Yeah, I better watch my P's and Q's. I put it this way: I've heard that
See what you
stars of the
want.
new label just dissolve it. Well, that to a degree, but you just never know, do you?
Okay.
But I was told, maybe, hopefully correctly, that if you ended a label that had run into problems, shall we say, um, just start a new one, Dom, and that's what I did. So the Great Pop
Right.
Supplement was born. So,
And what kind
which
of
again, went on to 150 odd releases that one as well, actually.
okay? And what was there? I mean, with this particular label, the Great Pop Supplement, was there a musical genre, or was it just like a mixed bag, like all your
No,
labels?
no, it's been a bit of a mix looking back. I mean, Earworm. Well, no, Earworm was a real sort of I don't know what, like a mix of it. Basically, the old adage, if I like it, it gets on. So with
Okay.
Earworm, you'd get anything from a 20-minute drone track by Stars of the Lid, for example, to name one, to a 2.5 minute fuzz psych pop song by an Apples in Stereo or an Of Montreal or one of the Elephant Six bands. So a bit of anything and everything, and lots of singles, lots of nice packaging. Earworm, I always sort of look back on, especially fondly, because it enabled me to work with some musical heroes like Spaceman 3 and the members of Galaxy 500. As by then they'd broken up, but their solo projects and Yola Tango and, as I say, Stars of the Lid were a great one to have worked with. Yeah, just tons of band, and that was the label that, as I say, I sort of look back on perhaps most fondly just because of those introductions to those sort of bands that I've just loved forever, really. And then Great Pop Supplement, to answer your question, was a
No, that's all right.
continuation of that. Anything goes, and but with possibly an increased eye on nicer packaging. I think looking back, and printing options were always opening up, and ideas along those lines. So musically it probably wasn't that different, but yeah, just smaller runs and more hand done stuff in the early days. Like my early singles on that label were only runs of 111 copies, and each one was all nicely hand done and all of that. And yeah, but then that branched out to wider scale stuff that was distributed by Cargo as well.
Did you ever? I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to trace your labels. The next one, was that run in conjunction with a Great Pop Supplement, or did you dissolve that one and then move on to the next label?
Well, a certain friend of all micro labels, bedroom labels, call them what you will, came knocking again, funnily enough, and
Oh, did they really?
you know, yeah, yeah, and it's funny how it works,
Didn't
isn't
have
it?
much luck.
Yeah, and but no, I mean, I was paying my bills, but there were just some bands who just would only take copies of the records, and then I mean, I could talk about a few instances where they'd take copies of the records and as their star grew, they just sort of backtracked and started getting MCPS dosh out of the labels they promised they once wouldn't, shall we say? So yeah, sort of not entirely pleasant memories in some cases from some bands there, but yeah, that was that was a great label, and I really enjoyed doing that, and it was really supported by the likes of John Peel and all the guys on sort of Six Music, and Radio One as was, and
Right.
magazines and stuff. So all good.
So, what was the next label? Yeah,
I know it's hard, isn't it? But I mean, let me say these weren't 2 week affairs. They all ran for sort of 3, 4, 5 years, and I look back on it now. It's been 5 labels in 30 years. So there's a guide.
Oh,
But
five
after
labels.
that,
I thought.
oh yeah, no,
Honestly,
well,
I thought it was. I thought it was more. To be honest, I really did.
no, it was. I'm just trying to think to answer your question there. As Great Pop Supplement started, I was starting to get demos from a ton of really great sort of kraut, drone, Cosme sort of acts that were more moving towards that sidelong Tangerine Dream-esque sort of epics and that sort of Berlin school of electronics, that kind of thing. And so I started a label called Deep Distance, which anyone up on Manuel Gotching and Ashwar and stuff will know exactly where that name came from. And so yeah, I did a series of Kraut Cosmic LPs and the label was called Deep Distance. That ran for 3 or 4 years, and really, I've never ended that. I could release something on Deep Distance tomorrow, and there's, albeit a kind of gap of 10 years, it's something I could return to because it never really ended. It's just
Right.
that the love of the 7-inch single kind of won through again. So Polytechnic Youth was born, which is another chapter again.
Exactly. I thought Deep Distance was. I thought I was getting not confused because when I was working for 3MV, we were distributing and handling a label called Deep Distance, but it was nothing to do with you. So don't worry, it was nothing to do with you. It was more of it was more of a techno label, really, if I remember rightly.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what made me think. I thought, oh, Deep Distance. Yeah, I'm sure that was one of Dom's
Yeah.
labels. Yeah.
Well, maybe they're into the
Well,
same
sorry.
thing. I mean, to have had a title like that, maybe they were equally Manuel Gotching fans, etc.
Possibly. I mean, when I say techno, it's more sort of like sort of trancier kind of stuff, really.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you've just
Bit of a dirty,
proved that. Yeah, I think you've just
yeah,
proved that
bit
one.
of a bit of a dirty word in my vocabulary because it sort of conjures up all kinds of horrible things. Sorry, what was the one after Deep Distance?
Polytechnic Youth.
Polytechnic Youth, yeah, which I thought was a great
Yeah.
name for a label, great name for a band, to be honest. You know what I mean? Where'd
Yeah,
you get that one
yeah.
from?
If memory serves, and I can't take the credit for that, and I have had a ton of people say it's a great label name, but I think that was my mate Alan in Morecambe, Alan Outram, who recorded as the Woodcraft Folk, and we've done an absolute stack of records under all sorts of pseudonyms and go on, I know
I've actually still I've got a Woodcraft Woodcraft Folk CD somewhere. Still
yeah,
got it.
really lovely hand
Yeah,
done, sort of
yeah,
handmade
yeah. It's like
screened
a card
package, if I recall.
sleeve.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
card sleeve with like is it kind of like a like Woodcraft Folk? It was almost like etched kind of design
Yeah,
looking,
yeah.
like red. Yeah,
A lot of
I
sort of
thought so. Yeah,
Green Man
yeah.
inspired, mythical sort of
That's it.
Green
Yeah,
Man inspired artwork and
mm,
and that sort of area around the Trough of Bowland, which I think lent its name to the
that's
record, and
it.
that sort of and really amazing electronic stuff that we went through about 4 or 5 pressings of that. It went down really well.
So Polytechnic Youth. What was the
Yeah,
inspiration
his
behind
his
that then?
name, his name, and very much. This was the first label I ever ran where I do think it centered on a particular sound. Which, as I
Right.
started it, I thought, it's what I'm into now, and I can imagine doing it for a long old while. But I knew that eventually I'd feel a little bit pigeonholed by just doing one sound, and as it proved. But those 3 or 4 or 5 years were great, and that's the one where I think a lot of people say to me that was kind of you know, I don't know, quite inspirational to a few others. And there are a few labels that came off the back of that using the same sort of ideas and, timed lathe cut releases and, again, nice packaging. And, I had a lot of support with that with the Electronic Sound magazine and, some of the guys on Six Music. And whatever, and everything went really well on that label, and but again, that ended just purely because I wanted to do more than just electronic music that was a nod back to. I mean, basically, a lot of the bands were like me, who just loved early Fad Gadget and Cabaret Voltaire and early throbbing gristle, and all the great stuff, the classic era stuff, and I try and reproduce those private press sort of Thomas Lear kind of stapled sleeves,
Yeah.
and if you know all
Hmm.
that sort of stuff, the minimal synth era,
Yeah.
and the stapled sleeve and the stickered sleeve, the hand stamped white label were good, really.
I
So
mean, did you? I mean, in recent years, there was a run of CDs by Cherry Red called, was it Back to the Factory Floor Noise or something like that?
okay,
Um, I think there was three of them in like a nice little clamshell box. And one was UK sort of like DIY electronic stuff, European, and then North American. Um,
yeah.
just brilliant stuff, just brilliant stuff, and
Oh,
it's
I
that
bet.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff. I
yeah.
think that you're talking about. It's just fantastic, like
Exactly
really
that.
early
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
ones that I even before I bought them CDs, bands that I'd never even heard of, and I was just like, thinking, how did that get past me? Because it was, But then,
Yeah,
like you said, back then this is pre internet, and it was like you had to be right place, right time.
yeah,
Simple, really.
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Because when you look
just
back
going back to
now, I mean,
your.
go on. Yeah, sorry.
No, I was just about to say, going back to what you were talking about, like sleeve designs and stuff. There's something that I don't know anything about, and that you just mentioned it then, like lathe cut singles. I have no idea what that is.
So, um,
Without
where do
going,
I start on this? Where do I start on this? It's a lovely alternative to, nowadays, if you wanted to press a record, you'll be hit with minimum orders of 250 to 300 up, and for some young bands now, and some artists generally, they'll think, I can't sell 300. I'm doing this as a part-time thing. I need 50,
mm,
and I need smaller editions. And where the lathe cut sort of boom in the last few years, if you like, for me, started with a guy called Peter King in New Zealand, who used to cut onto a weird sort of very thin sort of polycarbon kind of substance. I don't know what would you call that? Basically, really grim sounding but great looking records, and he was
right.
quite revered in that sort of post. Well, it's a sort of flying nun expressway New Zealand scene, and then you'd get the likes of your Sonic Youths and people like that to have them cut. But then fast forward to nowadays, and I think it was a guy in Germany, if I recall, who built a cutting lathe that people could have in their homes, and it was a lot more affordable. And I think a guy you might know, a mate called Phil. He really, it was an amazing story. He just was so pissed off with what he was doing. He fancied a complete career change. So he ploughed his savings into a cutting lathe and then got a van and drove it out to Germany and picked it up in person and with a ton of blanks. And I sort of cite him as being one of the very first. But now there are a ton of people in this country. A simple Google check will, you'll find dozens. But
Right.
they're a lot better quality now, and they sound as good as, let's say, properly pressed records. You know what I mean? And they're just you can get from one up really, and they're all. The downside is sometimes they're recorded in real time, so as Phil often tells me, even the best records, tracks he absolutely loves, he's really tired and cheesed off come the 100th listen in a day. And he's cutting in real time, and a
Yeah.
lot of people still don't really understand that. So when they say, why don't you get 200 done of this, it's purely because the guy cutting them can't do that many.
Right.
He
Right.
loses the will to live after about 100. So, and even that's even the best records. So, yeah, but it's an amazing new entry into sort of the DIY scene, if you like, and nowadays you're
Okay.
getting some of the real big bands, out there. When touring, will do 100 lathe cuts for big shows now, and all around the
And
world, the
what's
lathe
the
cut.
sound? And what's the sound
Well,
quality like?
absolutely
Does that
fantastic.
vary?
It's yeah, it's
Yeah. Yeah.
really
Okay.
moved on. It's not like the old days of the Peter King lathe cuts. They're
Right.
they're real big slabs. You can almost eat your dinner off them. They're as thick as plates. Some of them really, really fantastic. And And increasingly now there are more and more colours being available, and also you get the added bonus, which I really milked with Polytechnic Youth, of 5-inch singles, 8, 9, 10, 11-inch records, and you have them cut into stars or squares, or there's tons you can do, and it's an absolute sort of riot of stuff out there and possibilities, which married up with nice packaging, you're creating great art objects, really.
Definitely, yeah.
And
the
Polytechnic Youth
next
did
label,
loads of those, basically.
right? And the label after Polytechnic Youth
Is the current one,
or
Feral
is,
Child.
it's the
And
current one,
it
Feral Child.
is, yeah, and that's a relief, because there's no more to remember from there. That's bang up to date.
And the Feral Child is again, is it genre specific or
No, not at all. That's
no?
again,
No.
anything goes. But I'm sort of, as I get a bit longer in the tooth, Jason, I'm sort of having a bit of fun with this one. I'm doing sort of film, sort of clips of film soundtracks, and interviews to do with favourite movies, and having packing them out with all sorts of weird inserts and things, and Witchfinder General packages with selected copies having members of the cast's autographs inside, thanks to eBay.
Oh, cool.
And just film trailers, really. Really great sort of Black Sabbath, Boris Karloff, who, as you know, is a big favourite of mine, that era of the horror film, and packing them out with inserts galore, transparencies, badges, stickers, original gig poster ad flyers and things, So I'm doing that, mixing that up with, I don't know, Marquis Smith reads the football results as a picture disc. Very, very bootleggy, but very inspired by one of my favourite all-time labels, which was Fierce, who did these weird packages, if you remember, with things like the Charles Manson singles, Sonic Youth, Jesus and Mary Chain riots, with, I don't know, bits of the band's shirt, and I don't know, Stone Roses Spike Island packages with bits of Spike Island grass, and just wacky things like that. And I've always loved the Fierce label, and it's always been a big influence. And I've unashamedly taken that into my Feral Child goings on.
No, what they say about copying someone is the highest form of flattery, or whatever it's called.
Yeah, and right from the
all
off,
that kind of
I've
stuff.
told Steve, who ran Fierce, that this is what I'm doing, and I think he just smiled and thumbs up, really. So it's a little bit of a homage. But
Yeah.
go on, sorry.
Yeah, you never thought about, what you just said about the cast of Witchfinder General autographs, yeah? Never thought about just sort of like knocking your own, sort of like, copying them, going, oh, this is the original. You know what I mean?
No. No, they really are. They were
Forgery
bought from eBay. No, they were really. I'm not that. I'll bootleg, but I'm not that grim. But what I was going to say, they were eBay finds. You'd go onto
Right.
eBay and find, I don't know, and I'm just trying to think of some examples. There was a Captain Kronos vampire hunter thing, and there was the guy who played Captain Kronos' signature for $9.99 on eBay. So I thought I'll have that. And genuinely, a lot of these copies I didn't get. I threw them out into the punters' copies, and I kind of regret it a bit now, because I should have kept my own. I've got them all above me here as I talk to you.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, there's.
So what plans have you got?
I mean, there's a performance one, the Mick Jagger. That's performance,
Mick Jagger, yeah, brilliant.
which is a sealed. I mean, that, it's classic, but sealed stuff
Classic
up
film.
here that's just got tons of cards and gig ads, and in fact, I should have thought about this, Jay. So they're all above me as I look in all my singles. Yeah,
But I'd love all that kind of sort of like paraphernalia.
Some
I love all
not
that stuff.
some not so legitimate, shall we say? Little bootlegs there of old French site girls from the 60s. They're great EPs, you know, your Delphines and Clotildes, etc. So loads of iffier releases, shall we say, on Feral Child, but intermixed with some new band stuff that's, you know, we get out the usual way and try and get some reviews and radio plays for.
And what's the ultimate goal for Feral Child? Is it the dissolve and you're going to have another new label, or is this the one?
I don't really know. No, I think I'll because I'm paying my bills and doing it all officially now. So I've given up running from that company who we've discussed earlier. So but I'm just. It's like I was saying to you before we started here that this might be my last year now, as just the costs on everything are horrendous, and I just don't feel comfortable having to ask 20 quid to mail an LP out to the States where it's, I don't know, a new band's debut who barely people in their hometown will have heard of, let alone over in the US, and yet we're expected to charge 25 quid for an album and 20 for its post. So it just doesn't sit easy with me anymore, and the old days of Andrew Weatherall saying how Dom can do albums at $10.99 is it's those days are gone really.
Yeah, I know.
Because I never did it with pound signs in my eyes. I wanted to be really affordable and do it as cheaply as possible, but yet still look nice.
Exactly, and I think that is. I mean, I'm doing this because for several reasons, really. One was I need something to do. Yeah, retired life is fine, but I just wanted something to do just to while away a few hours. Talk to people who have been in bands that I've liked, and obviously you've not been in a band, but I've known you donkey's years, and I know that your love of music, and you've been into it for a very long time, record collecting and all that kind of stuff, films and all the rest of it. But it's not for like monetary gain. It's just something that I've always wanted to do. And play
I wouldn't
music,
be sitting here now if it was, Jace, really. I wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes if I'd done it just for the money.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, for me,
totally uninteresting.
And it's that kind of DIY ethic as well, because I look at other people who are doing something similar to me, and it's like proper slick production, proper editing and stuff. And the people that I've spoken to have all come from that kind of punk background or slightly earlier, and they're just going, don't do too many edits, just keep it as it is, keep it punk, keep it raw. I'm going,
absolutely.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. I mean, looking at you, the picture's a bit sort of jittery and all the rest of it. There's nothing I could do about that. That's fine. You know what I mean? It's just like, there you go.
No, that's just the bounce of light off my forehead, Jace.
No, honestly, it's but it's just the way it is, and that's how I like it. So mistakes, all the rest of it, but it's not for monetary gain. I mean, if there was money at the end of it, fair enough, but that's just not what I'm in it for. You know what I mean? There'd be little point because there'd be very little money anyway. So
of course, no, you've got to follow your hobbies.
So it doesn't really matter
if you love doing it,
Yeah, exactly.
I've always had
Jason,
sorry, as long as I've run labels, Jace, I've still got the old mantra which I pass on to people who still quite regularly ask me about starting labels, which is just let record A pay for record B. Costs £1,000, make £1,000, you've got your money for the next one. Anything else, absolutely anything else. Maybe your packaging could be snazzier on the next one if you've got a few bob. Maybe you pay a bill here and there, but just continue that level. One pays for number two, definitely. 2 pays for free. And I've just been lucky that here we are all these donkey's years later. But never really made much dosh out of it. I've just loved doing it,
Exactly, yeah. And for me, part of the it's like when you see that girl and you go, oh, I'd like to go out with her, I'd like to date her. That's what it's like for me to get a guest. Yeah, it's like the thrill of the chase. It's like yes, and when they say I'm up for that, you go, oh, she's brilliant. You know what I mean? It's like a proper kind of almost like it boosts my ego. You know what I mean? It's like fucking great.
Yeah.
Then you start making notes, you start looking around. And then we had you on, which...
that sort of drops off a wee bit now.
Well, there's someone else who might want to do this as well. Someone who who we spoke
Oh,
about
okay,
earlier. So
okay.
he's interested. So,
I
so
shall watch that with
and then
bated breath. Yeah.
and also I'm interested
But I tell
in.
you what, Jace, let me what's the word? Interject a wee bit. Do you know
Go on.
Jack's story with the silver apples that we mentioned with Enraptured? It is fascinating. It's a fantastic story, and that started with us running Enraptured and doing the silver apples tribute. So, honestly, a little word to the wise: the Jack hour-long documentary about his involvement with the silver apples is fantastic. You should do it.
Yes, it will be. I mean, he's agreed to do it.
Great.
And it'll be sometime down the line because I know he's a busy boy. I only spoke to him. I spoke to him last week, and he had a story for me. I sit there and listen because I know what it's like. Because when I have to tell a story, it's not just simply a story. You have to do the backstory as well and how you got to where you are.
Mm.
And it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to hear. But I mean, with all the guests, it's nice to know their top 10 tracks because it's like sometimes you sit there and you think, I wonder if it's going to be all this genre or is it going to be a mix or is it going to be all this? So it's quite
Mm.
interesting. I like that. And that's obviously a pull as well. So with that in mind, the first track you selected was Isolation, Joy Division. What is it about that track in particular? Because obviously, I suppose they only made 2 albums, didn't they?
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. So, where do
So
you start? I mean, there was always going to be a Joy Division track. I've loved them, from well, when I had hair and I was up this height. But I think that's the track for me. That was where I really first sort of took notice of Ian Curtis's lyrics, and it's just a beautiful piece of music, isn't it? And but then, like a lot of these bands, you could choose any one from a dozen, but just I don't know, something about isolation, that sort of feel, the synths, Uh, what can I say that hasn't been said 1,000 times with any Joy Division track? But it's isolation for me all day long.
all day long. Yeah. Your second one was one that, even though I listened to Echo and Bunnyman, I would play this particular album, and for me, it's like a background album. And I don't remember My Kingdom at all. So when I said to you, like, send your 10 tracks over, it was so I can listen to it. And go, oh yeah, if I can remember this. What
Mm.
was the why that particular track off that album? Considering the albums that they've released beforehand, because Heaven Up Here
Yeah, of
is
course,
probably my
of
favourite
course,
album.
yeah,
It's just but
yeah,
you chose one from was it Ocean Rain?
yeah. Well, it could equally
Hmm.
have been No Dark Things off Heaven Up Here, funny enough.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, I've loved the Bonnie. Like in life, Jessica, it sounds silly, but you get a band who you think when you're growing up and you're like a sponge, you take everything in, and that band is your band. They're sort of
Hmm.
you get very sort of what's the word? Very possessive.
Protective
They're
or
doing this for
possessive? Yeah.
me, for my ears, and they're aiming at my big ears especially. And no, I've loved the Bunnymen since I was a kid, and so there was always going to be a track, and also the thing about Echo and the Bunnymen, I just think they had everything. I look back now, they had my favourite drummer. I look back now, they had my favourite rhythm section generally, although Joy Division's was pretty mighty as well. But Will Sargent's still my favourite guitarist, and I've got to know him a little bit now. Released some records with him, which was a thrill. And so that particular track was just because I just think it's got everything. Will's guitar on that is incredible, and the talk about sort of trying to replicate, a couple of the guitar sounds off Forever Changes by Love, and just albums that sort of I knew and sort of resonated with me. I can kind of see where he's coming from, and Mac's voice was always great around that time. Pete with the brushes in those days on the Ocean Rain, sort of more acoustic, orchestral sort of feel to that record. It's just has
Hmm.
everything that I love the Bunnymen for, really, going on in that track.
Okay. Your third track, is an absolute killer. Absolute killer. Slip Inside This House by the 13th Floor Elevators. That is 8 minutes of I don't know. It's just a mad track. I've never heard. I probably have, but not taken notice. But on this particular one, I did take notice. I think it's a song where he continually sings throughout the song. There's no
no break. Yeah,
there's no breaks at all, and it's really weird because for the duration of the song, it's got a chorus, but it's only sung twice, and there's like so many verses and refrains. It's just unreal. It's like an absolute belter of a song. I can understand why you would have chosen that, but why did you choose it? Is it for all those reasons, or did you have
Well,
anything else?
I just had to include an Elevators song, Jace, because I just love them so much, and so the choice is there across 3 and a bit albums. So could have chosen anything, but I just love that track.
It's got that distinctive jump sound as well, hasn't it?
Oh yeah, as many of them. Obviously, the earlier stuff did, but there's. I could have chosen anything, but Slip Inside This House is a monster. It's just got everything you love the Elevators for going on. Rocky, fantastic throughout. The rest of the band were amazing. Tommy Hall on the job, just unbeatable, really.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Can't add a lot more to what you've said, really.
Well, it's funny because I only know Rocky Erickson. I don't know the rest of the band. It's I like 13th Floor Elevators, but it's not. I don't know. It's I only know Rocky Erickson because he's infamous, shall we say? You know what I mean?
Oh, he's one of the greats.
It's just like wow. It's almost like I don't know, like a Sid Barrett kind of character, I suppose, in some ways. Bit off the rails, a bit of all that kind of stuff.
There are books and DVDs out there, Jace. Just jump in. Yeah, it's an amazing story.
Bloody hell. Well, keeping into the 60s, you've got What Goes On, Velvet Underground. Is this the Velvet Underground without John Cale?
By that point, that's off the third album, by which point he had left. But again, a lot of these, it's not, I think I said to you before, I didn't want to be deliberately obscure. I mean, sure, I could have chosen a dozen tracks that, and I was thinking about things like John Bender and, the US sort of minimal synth guys, some of his stuff. But, and various contenders for this list, like everyone has. But I settled on 12 quite standard tracks, really. And What Goes On, I've just loved from day one, just because of the, name 2 better sort of rhythm guitarists than Sterling Morrison and Lou Reed, and that sort of 2-chord, church organ drones that I'd love from, the drone keyboard drones of Spaceman 3, and it's just. I mean, my only kind of downbeat thing with What Goes On, I just wish it would last for half an hour. It's just two chords, the greatest rhythm guitarist, great guitar sound as well as such, and the organs and Mo on drums. It's unbeatable.
Yeah, I think
just the drone on that track is just amazing.
Yeah, I listened to the other day and it just brought it all back, and Velvet Underground. It's just, it's good stuff. But that's like the old adage that any track that you like, it could be one of the sort of like 3-minute punk pop songs right through to whatever, and you go, it could be like 12 minutes long. You go, it's just not long enough.
Yeah,
it needs to be longer. No matter
all the
what
best music is, but it's why I love some of the great Kraftwerk, because they really did push it out. They really did take up a side where maybe in a Can or especially Popol Vuh's case, it might have started as a 4-minute piece, but the groove is there. Let's expand it out to 20 minutes, and take a side of vinyl.
Yeah. I mean, that's talking to the guest before you, and he was saying that he could have chose anything off the B-side of Low, and I said, by David Bowie, and I said, that's just one side I just cannot get along with. Just I don't know what it is. It's like I like Bowie, a big Bowie fan, and I think right, some tracks need to be longer, but on that particular album, I just can't get my head around it at all. And the tracks are longer, going into
Yeah,
like 10 minutes and whatever. It's just, no, not for me.
yeah,
I mean, I think
yeah. It
it
doesn't
depends
always
on
work.
the
It
artist.
doesn't always work.
No, no. The next one, in at number 5, da, 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 is one that surprised me, to be honest. I Believe in You, Talk Talk. Because I didn't have you down as a big Talk Talk fan, to be honest.
No, I'm a bit of a sort of cliched Talk fan, whereby the last two albums for me, well, maybe From the Colour of Spring to an extent, but
Mm.
no, Spirit of Eden's amazing, and seems a bit tough to pull out one track from that, because I think Mark Hollis is famously on record as saying that it's to be listened as a whole as such, and the gaps between the tracks are as important as the music itself. And very short record, there's only 6 tracks on it, but that one's a beauty, and I think it's just quite poignant, talking about heroin and the effects of heroin, given that his brother was very soon, I think, after that was recorded to die of a heroin overdose, and he passed away. So, but the mood and the I don't know. It's a very jazzy approach, which isn't always for me, to be totally honest. But just from silence, these swells of organ, and the choir, and just what a track, just beautiful.
I mean, I think you can see the beginnings of Spirit of Eden on the previous album, the way that was put out as well.
I mean, yeah, very much
similar type of similar kind of artwork as well. I think, in a way, and I think that's sort of like that was where that was heading. I mean, you could hear all that.
Yeah,
in,
I was never a big fan of their
previous
artwork.
album.
Funny enough, yeah.
I found the first album. I thought it was a bit of an odd cover. Really, didn't sort of like really represent.
The lips and the face and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I know you said earlier about the simp stuff, but the actual track talk as well is just a brilliant track. When you look at the lyrics, you're going, wow, yeah, it's that's proper relationship material. Listen to that about
yeah.
It's like, bloody hell, you must be going through it. I don't know.
Do you know what I also like
think
about the time of when Spirit of Eden was recorded and everything, Jace? He was up living in Wimbledon Village, just up from us.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay.
it's amazing. And I know the album was recorded in Highbury, which is near where I am now, but he lived in Wimbledon Village, and and he's sort of that. I don't know why. It doesn't mean anything, but it's quite nice to think such a
Oh,
record that you love. The guy only lived a mile up the road. From Southfields, where
I
we
think
all
I know.
were.
I
So,
think I know. I think I know why. I think I know why. Because it was close to Sun Hill, if you get the joke.
I've got to think about that.
Think of the surname.
Oh yeah, Reg Hollis. Oh God, I'm slow today, Joyce. Yeah. Do you know? Suffice to say, I have never associated Mark and Reg Hollis. I think you're onto something there.
Yeah,
God knows
well,
what I'm
you
gonna
got
think.
Grant to thank as well.
Okay. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently he was a
I mean,
regular in Crooked Billet and all that up there. So all the pubs we used to
bloody
go
hell.
to, he used to go to as well.
Jeez.
Just weird,
Bloody hell.
It means nothing, but it's just odd when you look back on and listen to the
No, it's just a
record and
nice
think
little,
about it. Yeah, a little
it's a nice little
anecdote.
coincidence.
Yeah.
There's, I mean, your next one, I mean, if there's something I don't particularly like, and that is new genres for music that hasn't been pigeonholed. And you'll understand what I mean when I say Hello Gallo, Neu, and what people go. I don't even want to bring myself to say it, but I can't stand that term krautrock. I think it's not offensive or anything like that. I just think it's just such a muggy kind of genre name, should we say? Can't
Yeah.
stand it. I don't know, but Yeah, Hello Gallo.
Yeah, I think
Go on.
it became more acceptable, I think, to people, to the Germans than when Faust obviously recorded a sort of tongue-in-cheek track called Krautrock, and they sort of,
Oh, did they?
they kind of
Oh, okay.
owned that expression, and it just I think it was just to show that, no one's taking it particularly seriously. It's just a lazy journalist word from, I don't know,
Hmm.
71, 72 or whatever, maybe earlier, don't know. But yeah, I
Yeah,
know
but
what
I
you
think
mean. But
it's.
then, go on.
No, no, go on, mate. No, go on. Sorry.
I was going
No,
to
I
say, I
wasn't.
think, I think in a way though, again, Hello Gallo, very, very obvious. But it's just that sort of to me defines that sort of metoric sound that that groove that for me is just godlike, and I never will be beaten. Just could go on for
Hmm.
hours and hours, never tire of it. It
I,
just godlike
I
that
think.
the whole
I think
groove,
we.
the whole feel of
Yeah, the whole thing. I mean, I go on to like when you sent me your list as the other guest out as well. I would go on to YouTube, just listen and watch the visuals and whatever, and then I go into the comments and see what people have written about it, and it's quite interesting what you see written down. People's their own thoughts and perspectives about what that track's about or what it means to them, and
yeah,
it is just one of those tracks that someone said, "Oh, it's a great late night driving track." I know you don't drive, but if you're driving through the night, I can imagine that on, and that would be
I think
quite
traveling
comforting
generally though, isn't it? Don't
in a
don't you
way.
think traveling generally?
Um, Yeah, but for me personally, I understand what they meant. Nighttime driving is a
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you just got empty roads, it's fantastic. You can just it's almost like you own the road, and you've got this soundtrack on. And what I liked about
yeah,
this particular track, there's like a clicking sound in it as well that comes every now and again. It's just like for me that would keep my concentration not on just the drive, but listening to the music as well. It's a great track.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I just
sure.
think of Hello Gallo as a sort of catalyst, a sort of start point for so much that I've loved since then. And so I've gone to the sort of the seed, if you like, and that's where so much sprouted up from that track. I mean, you could say, Autobahn full length version has the same feel and that same influence, but I just think Hello Gallo, it's different, and it's so much of
I
what I
don't.
love started with a love of that track for people.
Yeah, to be honest, I think. I mean, you made that comparison to Autobahn. Uh, I don't know, Autobahn.
It's a lot more stop-start
Um,
Autobahn. There's a lot more experimentation going on.
yeah, but there
Gallo's
is,
got
and
the groove, hasn't it?
exactly that's exactly what it's got. I it's a different, it's a different. I know it's revolves around travel, I suppose, in a way.
Yeah,
Well, not so much Hello Gallo, but that's what people have been saying. And Autobahn is about travelling, but I don't know. It's got if my memory serves me, I don't know how true this is, but it was like their version of Beach Boys and fun, fun, fun on the Autobahn and
yeah, yeah.
all that
Of
kind of
course,
stuff.
yeah.
And it's like, and so I can't really relate it to the kind of groove that you're talking about with Neu. To be honest, I think it's completely different. I think the groove for Kraftwerk
Oh
came
no, I think
a
you
lot
hit the
later.
nail on the head.
It's
The
a lot later.
travel aspect, the driving motoric sound. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that both tracks have
yeah.
got that in common. They just channel off and veer off in different ways, but I think they've got that in common to a degree.
Mm. And talking of Kraftwerk, Tan's music.
Oh, lovely, Be- beautiful,
Love it. Go
beautiful.
on, go on. What is it? What is it,
Just
Dom? That from all the Kraftwerk tracks you could have chosen, why
I
this
know
particular one?
exactly. I'm thinking that as you're saying it, Jace. I mean, there's obviously there's a mountain and a godlike mountain at that, and but something about Ralph and Florian, from the first two, which I won't say Ralph has disowned, but you know what I mean. He's very prickly about their reissue and so on. So I think for me, it all his real craftwork career and that sort of molded pattern, that molded image and everything that we now know them for, began with that record. And while that Ralph and Florian and Radioactivity afterwards, after but one, Autobahn obviously between the two, they still had a big degree of experimentation. I still think, as a kid, that image on the back of the cover of Ralph and Florian, where they're sitting there and the sort of with the brickwork, the egg boxes, and the early Kling Klang studio, and but then a lot of it, and I defy anyone when you're 13 or 14 to not use this expression. It kind of sounded a little bit plinky plonky, didn't it? But then this beautiful genius melody that's weaving and twisting, and and it's bills with that sort of percussive thing, as Wolfgang came in, and especially live on some of the bootlegs. Just a phenomenal track, and that for me was their first track where you really thought they're a genius sort of melodicists, if that's the word, melody writers. The crafting of beautiful melodies. That's where it started. Do you know what I mean? And there were elements of that on Radioactivity hugely as well.
Yeah, I thought I sort of noticed them more because I was probably a little bit later getting into Kraftwerk, but I noticed that more on Trans-Europe Express. I mean, some of the stuff on that is just...
But by then it's their fully moulded, fully formed Kraftwerk, isn't
exactly, yeah. But just talking about their melodies, that's where I first noticed them. Tracks like Abzug and Franz Schubert, all of it, the whole album basically. It's like a piece of classical music. It's fucking brilliant. Yeah,
I love that. I think that's a good point that you bring up Franz Schubert there. I think because obviously Trans-Europe Express is the monster that the world knows, but that beautiful sort of it's almost like a sort of refrain, like a kind of an album closer, isn't it? Where Europe Endless opens it, and the melody's not a million miles away from Franz Schubert, but what a genius, beautiful little piece of music to close a record with. And you're right there. That's genius. Melody, it's just like songwriting.
Oh man, it's just I can't get enough of it. And then it's we move on to Gary Numan, which again of all the tracks you could have chosen. I mean, why this particular Gary Numan track? Considering when you're talking about obvious kind of staple tracks, I mean. I think we've mentioned it earlier. Our Friends Electric could have been. I don't know. But I
just think again, the Pleasure Principle. For everyone, what are your top 10 albums? They change every 16th minute, and no one likes to be pinned down on it. It's an awful question to ask. It changes, as I say, every 10 minutes. But the Pleasure Principle is a sort of staple for me in there, and because I just think the drones and everything I went on to love later, with the krautrock and Spacemen grooves and all that sort of thing. And, a lot of it, Gary Numan doesn't really get the credit for that record, which sounds bonkers for a worldwide #1 record. But the drones and the polymoog sound on those especially, and just fantastic. And, why that one, Jace? I don't know. Heavily sampled, of course, and kind of revered in certain circles, of course. Anything on the Pleasure Principle, it's for a lot of people, especially out in the States, it was as big a record hearing that than it was Man Machine and Trans-Europe Express. And so I could have chosen anything, but ME, call it what you will. That one as I was tapping away on the keyboard to you.
I mean, I think I love this album. But
not a bad track on it.
It's not, and for me, it's between Metal or Complex, and I would probably go for Complex because it was a single. But I absolutely loved the picture sleeve. I just couldn't get enough of it. I just sit there and just stare at it and go, this is just a mad cover. It just reminded me of Complex. Yeah, that time when I got it, I was still quite young, and it just reminded me of everything that was going on at that time. It's just bonkers, absolutely bonkers. And violas, I mean, geez. I mean, electronic song with violas. Jeez, this is like...
I know. Yeah,
that's genius. That's just genius
yeah.
itself. I mean, would you personally say that Pleasure Principle is probably the closest to an all-encompassing album by Gary Newman that encompasses everything? Would you say that's almost the definitive, complete album? Right, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
For me it is, because it's it's just so influential, and every track on it's a classic. And I don't know, again, when some albums are so sort of revered and so famous, and now what are we talking, nearly 50 years old? It's all been said before, hasn't it? But it truly is rare to find every track is just amazing, and I do think Pleasure Principle gets that.
Yeah, I think as well.
And now, and Jace, also to interrupt you a sec, I just think, fast forward these 50 years where, I'm picking an album I bought when I was 12 or 13, and everything that sprouted from that, and from early Kraftwerk and from Neu, there's such a wealth of amazing music, and that's I really count the Pleasure Principle as a start point to lots I now love, and to be, for God knows, all these years later, to still sort of hold it in such reverence, it must be doing something right.
Exactly. I think Replicas, I'll probably be slated by Gary Newman fans here. For me, he's an okay album. Because and again, I'll probably get slated, but for some reason, I just cannot get my head around Down in the Park. I can't abide it. It's just one of them tracks I just cannot stand. For me, that is an electronic version of Dave Brubeck, Take 5. I can't stand that. It makes me want to cling to the walls. It's like horrible.
Yeah.
And I actually preferred the first.
Brace yourself for the wrath of Numanoids there, Joyce.
What, Graham?
The wrath of Numanoids all over the world will be on your case.
Yeah, I know. But that's all right.
Here's a little story about Down in the Park. There's a mate of mine called Ollie. He's produced such amazing music. He now plays with the what's the name from Lush, Mickey Berenyi trio, and he's top man. Ollie Shearer is great. And whenever we talk about early Gary Newman, he'd just say to me pointedly with a fixed face, "Oh, that's the song about the oh look, it's a rape machine. That's the oh look, it's a rape machine song." And he just gives me this look where I feel about 3 inches. How could I ever love that? Although I agree with you about Down in the Park on Replicas, but I do think a lot of the other stuff around it on that record is amazing too. I think it's a great record.
I just think there's more. I think, like we said earlier, I think Pleasure Principle is probably a more complete album than Replicas. I think Replicas has got some good ideas.
Yeah.
And there's some good tracks on it, but some of it is a bit sort of filler for me. On a personal note, and this ain't about me, but on a personal note, I prefer Telecon as the most complete album by Gary Newman, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's got
a lot of people do.
A mix of everything. It's just got a mix of everything. I was just listening to I Dream of Wires yesterday, and there's this like sort of like almost, you hate it, you hate the music, but it's got that funk, almost like chic kind of guitar, like choppy. It's just brilliant. And when it comes in at 2 minutes, whatever it is, and Cedric hits them drums, it's just like, wow, yeah, we're here. We're here.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. Yeah. I love it. Absolutely love it.
We could talk all day about the first 4 Gary Newman records. Well, it's just everything that followed since, really. It's all been a bit grim. But the first 4 are still great. I'll always say that. Yeah, I think so.
And the looks weren't too bad either, like the stage things, you know what I mean? But after...
Oh, yeah, I'll tell you what. I mentioned earlier about how he performs these tracks, and it's a bit cringeworthy. I'd still doff my cap to that 79 light show. Cool. That was quite something. Apparently, people who went, were blown away. They'd never seen a light show like that, and a stage rig.
I'd love to have been.
Like that. Oh. Yeah,
I mean,
dynamite.
I'd love
Yeah,
to have gone there. What 79 to 82? I'd love to have gone them
yeah.
gigs. That would have just been
79's the one with
fantastic.
the, with the two banks of horizontal lights just buzzing away. Great, really good. And Billy Curry
Brilliant.
playing as well, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Which, yeah.
yeah.
Well, we won't go. We won't touch on Ultravox because early Ultravox very
No,
much took their cue from Neu, I suppose.
definitely.
You know, what I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
brilliant, just brilliant
Connie
stuff.
Plank
You know,
producer as well, of course.
of course. Yeah, yeah.
It's funny how you
Uh,
mention that, Joyce. There is a
it's
link as well. The way they put an exclamation mark after their band name was a homage to
exactly.
Noi. Yeah, yeah,
And I think you know the I think you could probably look at especially Systems of Romance. You know what I mean? You can just sort of
yeah,
you can hear everything there crystallised in their version of Noi, I suppose. Um,
yeah.
I've got to admit, Dom, I know next to nothing about this next band apart from I think there's an American car, or it could be
I know you're
Galaxy
going to mention. Yeah,
500.
yeah.
Galaxy 500 and Snowstorm. The only other thing I know about this is I only found this out yesterday, funny enough, because it come up next on YouTube. So they did a cover version of Ceremony.
Yeah, fantastic it was too.
Yeah,
You should give it a listen. It's great.
I did, mate.
There's a story about how Peter Hook taught Naomi how to play it properly on bass.
properly.
It's such a hooky story, isn't it? Yeah,
It is, and
yeah.
to be honest, like I said, it come up next on a playlist, and I had to turn it off, mate. I thought it was dreadful. That's just
Oh,
my
did you?
opinion. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, it's Snowstorm.
I've just loved them from day one, and I was lucky enough to see them live and done records with them all, and collect their records and every version of everything avidly, and still adore them to this day. Really, just the most beautiful sort of ambient kind of, slow, atmospheric, dreamy. Every cliche that everyone's ever said about the likes of Galaxy 500 and Low and Mazzy Star, etc. That sort of sound I think kind of started for me with Galaxy 500, and I just adore them. And they
Mate,
have too,
talking
of
of
course. Let me add that they love all, the greats. They were forever talking about Jonathan Richman, Television, and all the
right,
greats.
yeah,
They're huge Elevators fans. They friends and huge fans of the Spacemen. Just again, it's just all intertwined. It's like one happy family, and the same kind of bands crop up, and so you inevitably discover Galaxy 500 through a love of other things, really. And once I heard them first time, I was hooked.
yeah. It's weird. Again, I go back to genres, and again, this shoegaze. Oh man, I mean,
Oh
it
God,
doesn't
yeah, I've
describe the
hated that.
music.
Yeah,
It don't. It doesn't
no,
describe the music, and I just found it just dreadful and dream pop. Fuck's sake,
yeah.
who comes
Well,
up with these? It's just
yeah. That I've
you
heard
know.
Galaxy 500 mentioned within the dream pop genre that you obviously so love. The title of. And but
I
then
mean,
it bugs me that one of my favourite bands, Spaceman 3, get lumbered with a shoegaze tag. It's just ridiculous.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
so
It's
lazy,
just
isn't
not.
it?
Yeah. Well, of course, it is just lazy fucking stereotype journalism.
Yeah,
You know, the old.
yeah.
It's just like I don't know. It's awful. I mean, I'd listened to that yesterday. It was quite nice. Yeah, it was nice. It didn't want to make me dream. It didn't want to make me stare at my shoes. But it was just it was a nice track. It was like right,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm making some notes, what have you, and have it in the background. And yeah, it was nice. It weren't offensive. It's not saying I would rush to play again, but it was because what I do as well, if I can't hear the lyrics, I'm very bad at deciphering lyrics.
Mm.
I just look for the lyrics on Google and go right, okay, what they're singing about. And it was just it was quite nice. I had
Yeah.
a mental image conjuring up in my head of what it was about. It was quite nice. Yeah,
It's a very simple sort of sound. It's only guitar, bass, and drums. Atmosphere and a love of the Velvets and whatever was kind of key. But yeah, it's a very simple sound. But they're a revered band now. You hear the word beloved inserted before the name of Galaxy 500 now when you read about them and so on, and rightly so in my book.
Yeah, like I said, I know apart from the name, I know next to nothing about them. Sorry, Dom, I did make a note, and I've just got to go back to this because I know you have a love of this band. I'm being sarky, of course. Did you hear the Primal Scream cover version of Slip Inside This House?
I did, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's okay. It's all right.
I think it was of its time,
Oh,
that kind of sound. But
yeah,
what made me laugh was it was compared to 13th Floor Elevators, which I think was like 8 minutes and whatever. I don't know. They managed to condense it down to 5 minutes, which I found odd. And a lot of that was an intro with no lyrics. So, and what made it worse was I couldn't understand what Bobby Gillespie was singing about. I thought, well, I've just listened to this track. What are you muffling on about, my friend? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know what was going on there.
He's a divisive character for me, Bobby Gillespie. I think, you won't find a guy with a better record collection anywhere in the world, but, I don't know. Don't know. It's quite how he channels
I don't
things
know.
sometimes, and that band I struggle with sometimes. But
Well, actually,
yeah,
that wasn't actually on that first album. That was actually on a compilation of stuff that was inspired. It's like an
yeah.
album
Was
of
there
tracks that inspired the
a,
thing.
tri a tribute to Rocky? Didn't that first appear on Rocky tribute
I
album?
think it
Maybe I
did.
don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, I think it did. And because there was like I don't know if it was released because I know again, Primal Scream are not a band that I'm really interested in, apart from Loaded. Um,
Yeah, they've had their moments. Don't get me wrong.
but I just think that I don't know if it was the album of Inspirations was released alongside the first album. I don't know if it come much later, to be honest, which then leads me to believe it's like, oh, was that really your inspirations, or is this like someone being a little bit bending the truth somewhat? I don't know. I just as I've gotten older, Dom, I've got more cynical. It's
Yeah, well,
unbelievable.
haven't we
You know
all?
what I mean?
Yeah,
I mean,
happens to us all,
sometimes
Joyce.
I would. But that's it. Have you got any releases coming up on Feral Child that you may want to put out there? If you've got
Yeah,
copies, or do they
just
all,
this. Yeah, just this week, there's a couple of new things. There's a Hologram People 7-inch, which is a duo from guys from Studio Cosmiche and a band called Corb that are really great. Krautrock flavors. This one, little bit of a departure as regards, as the title might allude to, Bongo Express is a sort of bongos and moogs collision, if you like. It's quite a groovy single, so to speak. And then there's an
you
album
sound
out
like.
by a band called, I know, but it's what everyone's saying. Oh, Dom,
Sorry,
is this
Dom.
the grooviest
As
record
soon,
you've ever done? And I think it is.
when people say groovy, I've just got this
I
image
know, I
of
know.
I don't know if you ever see it. It was Hugh Grant when they asked him. He goes, "Oh, groovy," and he just
Yeah,
destroyed that
I,
word in one
it
one
conjures
go.
up all sorts of images, doesn't it?
And plus, me and Rob, me mate Rob, anyone who thinks a little bit of a little bit dim low, we go, "Oh, look, here comes another bongo." You know what I mean? So it just conjures up
There
images,
you go.
unfortunately. You know what
This
I mean?
record ticks all sorts of boxes for you then. Yeah,
No doubt it's got a groove, Dom. You know what I mean? And some
it
bongos,
has.
what have you.
Well,
You know,
as I say,
so that's all
quoting
right.
other people on that one, Joyce, is this your grooviest ever single? Yeah,
And what did you
I think
say?
it
Yes.
possibly is. I think it possibly is, to be
Oh,
honest.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, okay.
But
And
yeah,
so what you doing? What you got planned for the weekend? What's going on?
we're
Is it a sumac?
actually no, no, we don't we don't punish that quite as much as we used to now. It's getting bloody expensive in there now. But
Was it?
no, we're committed to doing a car boot sale. Funny enough, on Saturday, in the
All
Joys
right.
of
Is
Tottenham.
that local?
Yeah,
Oh,
just sort of up the road, and yeah, um, going for the nice street food as much as and the beers at True Craft down the road as much as anything. But Lydia, my other half. She's for those who don't know, we're talking to you about it, Jace, because you know Lydia well, of course. But she's. I mean, I could show you. I'm just sitting to a whole wall of vinyl, which is her sales stock for fairs and boot sales, and she's really into it. And I'm actually pleased that the football season's over and I can sort of relax a bit now, and weekends are back, and so yeah, so doing that, and then we'll see. I like that it's less chaotic now, and in a couple of weeks' time we go out to Germany, and then a fortnight later Denmark, or to look at collections. So which is exciting. But
so it's
this weekend.
Right, so it's not a record fair. Right. So it's not a record fair. It's actually someone's private collection.
Yeah, this is in a few weeks' time. Yeah, 2 different collections from guys we've met in Den Bosch. We're going out to Germany and Denmark to look at their collections. Little invites to look at warehouses. So you can imagine Lydia were gutted to take them up on that offer, of course, and yeah, very reluctant, of course.
Oh, if you come across any Kraftwerk albums on the Philips label, snap them up, because I know someone who'd have them off you.
What, the original German ones?
Yes, yeah. My
i.e. not
previous
bothered
guest,
if they're French or whatever. Okay.
Because he had all them. He had them all on Philips, and then
I see hundreds of them, Jace.
Yeah.
Yes, I see hundreds of them. They're all over Den Bosch as well, so very easy to get.
Right. Okay. I'm gonna have to let Ronan know about these, because he's in Europe quite a lot, so he should.
He is, yeah. He's in Belgium a lot, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Belgium. He does a lot of travelling. Just come back from Peru. Funny enough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said
that'd
that
be
was
good for records. Did he bring any records back?
Well, I don't know. No, he bought some Uki football tops, Peruvian football tops.
Okay.
Like proper football teams, like Peruvian football teams.
Yeah.
It's like,
nice.
Are you crazy? But that's his thing. He loves the football top.
It is, yeah. He'll make a fortune from those, though, won't he?
Yeah, he's just like, bloody hell. I haven't spoken to him for a few days, but that's children for you. Or adult children.
Say hello to him when you do.
I will do, mate. Of course. Dom, thanks very much for your time.
Thank you, mate. Lovely.
And
enjoyed it.
I'm not sure when this will be going out, but I'll let you know. I've just got to do a few things, and I've got another guest who should have been done this week as well, but he ain't got back in contact just as yet. So but it'll be sometime later in the year. So
Well, good luck doing these, Jace. You've hit onto a nice idea.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks very much. I'm going to be over in the UK in early September anyway, so catch up for a beer.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Okay, mate.
All right, mate.
I have to save all my money. Nice one, Dom. Thanks very much for that.
I'll tell you what, that difference between Spanish ale and this, what were you buying Franciscanas for? 95 bloody cents or something? Yeah,
well, it's gone up to
nowhere in London.
120. No, there's nowhere in London for that, mate. No.
Ridiculous.
You got Paulana is nearly €2. And there's one beginning with P, Patronus or something, which is it's all right, but
what's that? A Spanish
beer? German wheat beer, but
no,
it's a German Weiss beer. But I've looked online and it's got sort of, I don't know, 2.5, 3 stars out of 5.
Yeah,
I mean, grab what you can while you're here. That's what I say.
Well, there's hundreds to choose from, of course. Yeah,
there are. Yeah. Spanish. Some of the Spanish stuff ain't too bad, to be honest. But
no, I bet. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, magic.
Okay, nice one, Dom. Enjoy the weekend. Say hello to Lydia for me.
Cheers, Jace. You too, mate. Of course I will. Yeah.
Yeah, nice one. Cheers, Dom.
And thanks for asking me. Brilliant.
No. Pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. Okay.
Cheers, mate.
All right, mate. Take care. See you, mate.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
What goes on here in your mind? I think that I what to do. I'm ashamed of the person I am. Isolation, isolation, but if you could just see the beauty, these things I could never describe. Pleasures away with distraction. This is my wonderful pride. Bye.